I'm gonna do a deck profile on its Fire King Fire Fist, and then it has a ton of weird techs in it. It basically makes a deck way more fun. It's obviously not gonna be super competitive because you'll have a ton of dead hands, but it's a really fun deck to try out, so I suggest playing it. And yeah, so let me just get started with the deck profile. So standard Fire Kings, you have 3 Yaksha, 3 Barong. These Yaksha is really good in this build specifically because it helps you get all your plays off. Then I run 2 Garuniks. I think 3 is way too cloggy, and if you run 1, they'll probably get rid of it really easily, and then you'll have no way out. So, I mean, you're not gonna lose completely if you don't have Garuniks, but it's better to just have more than 1. So I like to run 2. So there's that. And then you might ask why I'm not playing the little chicken one, and it's because it's way too slow. In a deck that's already slow, where you have to normal summon and then wait for things to happen, if you run this, it makes the deck even slower because you can't destroy in your hand. It has to be in your possession, so you have to set it on the field for it to get the effect, which is way too slow. And then the Fire Fist, so 3 bear. It's pretty standard, just super good card. And then I have 2 gorilla. Those are the only Fire Fists. I only like to run 2 gorilla because I feel like bear has a way better popping effect than gorilla. But yeah. And then 1 wolf bark. I would definitely run more than 1. I'd probably run 2. Because 3, you can open up with like 2 wolf bark, and then it just makes the whole deck super slow. So I would definitely run 2 of these, but I only have 1. So there's that. And then going into the weird techs of the deck. Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. I wouldn't really call this a tech, but it does conflict with a lot of things I run in this deck. So that's why I call it a tech, because it's really good though. It's a heavy storm, but it can ruin some of my plays too. So there's that. Then I have 1 Moral Tech. In my original Fire King Fire Fist, without all these weird techs, I used to run 2 Moral Tech and then 2 Sanctum. But Moral Tech's at 1, and I don't want to run Sanctum anymore because Sanctum can be dead really easily. So I just run 1 Moral Tech, and then you can get it popped with your Yaksha on your turn if you need to, and then just pop something your opponent controls, and it also doesn't target, so Moral Tech's really good. Then we have this Earthbound. I don't know its name, the reptile one. But basically, you're not going to summon any of these techs. You're just going to have them in your hand, and then its effect is, if this card is destroyed by a card effect except by its own effect, destroy all cards on the field. So basically, once again, you pop it with Yaksha, and then you pop the entire field. So that means monsters and spells, which is pretty good to get advantage. And then we have Ancient Gear, Gadgetron Dragon. I'll go into this a little later. It'll make more sense later. And then I also have a Yubel engine in it. So you have 2 of the normal Yubel. And then you only want to run 1 of the Terra Incarnate and 1 Nightmare because these are searched out. But basically, you also don't summon these. You have Yaksha pop Yubel, and then Yubel will get into this. And then you'll pop this with something else too, like Runics, and then get into this. And then, yeah, you can burn your opponent for a ton. And I like to run 2 Yubel because they search each other, so you can go into Nightmare 2 times potentially. And it's just really fun card. So the problem with this deck though is that because you have so many of these monsters, you can open up with really, really bad hands. And like if you have a hand with these, then you're not going to do anything with it. So the problem with this deck is that it's super inconsistent, but it's really fun. And then going into spells, so standard 3 Onslaught, goes into your Garunix. well, it goes into really everything except the text. So 3 Onslaught is super good in this deck. And then 3 Circle. Circle's really good too because it can be a Monster Reborn technically. And it also helps you dodge traps. Like if your opponent chains Bottomless to your summon, you can just chain this and then your Grunix will be active again. So that's that. And then the fire formations, I run 3 Tenki, 1 Tensu. Tenki's obvious, it searches all the level 4s in the deck. So that's Wolf Bark, Bear, everything. And then I like to run 1 Tensu because I feel like more than one is way too inconsistent. But 1 is really good because it helps you get off more summons if you need it. Because this deck can't summon that fast, but I think it summons a good amount of time, so I don't think you need too many Tensus. And then 1 Rekindling, because super broken. You can potentially special summon 5 from the grave, so that's pretty good. And then I like to run triple Supply Squad. This deck abuses Supply Squad really easily with Yaksha and Grunix because you can just keep popping your own stuff, and then every turn you'll just keep drawing more and more, and you can net so much advantage from these. And I definitely suggest running 3 because this is just super good. And most of the stuff you want in your hand more than you want in the deck, so definitely drawing them isn't a problem at all, unless you want to use your onslaughts. But this deck does have problems once again with Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys, because it's like a heavy storm. It'll pop your Supply Squads and it'll also pop your fire formations, so it's not good in that aspect, but it is still good because it can get rid of all your opponent's like problem cards, well, that are spells and traps, but it can also destroy your own Supply Squads, which is really bad. But main reason it's in here is because I have triple Gear Town, so that's why I'm running Gadgetron Dragon, because with Gadgetron Dragon it special summons from Gear Town. When it's popped, it can special from hand, deck, or grave. So Gadgetron, just as long as it's not banished, it'll always be special summoned easily. And yeah, so, and sometimes if your opponent doesn't know what you're playing at all and you said it, and they're also a really bad player and they pop it, then you can get Gadgetron Dragon. And then these, yeah, and then it's pretty easy. I would probably suggest running 2 instead of 3, because with 3 it can get super cloggy and you can't do anything with it, so I'd probably run 2. And then extra deck, I feel like you can just run a ton of generic rank 4s, but most importantly you want Cardinal and then 2 Tiger Kings. I go into these, like these 3, so much. I don't go into that many Cardinals because I only have 6 targets. No, I have 5 targets in the main deck, sorry. But so it's not too easy to get out, but it's still pretty easy to get out with the amount you have. So I would suggest running 1, and then 2 Tiger Kings obviously speed up the deck a ton. And then if you want to run a traditional version with all these techs, I suggest running these cards. Gores if you're not running the Fire Fist engine or Supply Squad, triple out for sure. And then 2 Trag. This is really good too, because if you're running a turbo version like this without any traps, then it's better to just have Trag, because yeah, it'll help slow your opponent down a little bit. 2 Summoner Monk. Yeah, if you're still running that turbo version and you have a ton of spells, you can get into your bears and your yakshas and other stuff really easily. So 2 Summoner Monk would help. A 3rd Nephthys. If you really want to, I wouldn't suggest it, but I feel like if you want to run 3, you can. I just don't think it'd be a good idea. And then another bear, so another target for your Cardinal. And Cardinal is just super broken. Well, it's not broke, but it's pretty damn good, so going into Cardinal, another target to go into Cardinal's good idea. And then Fire Hand, Ice Hand, splash this into any deck. But this deck helps a ton because you can just keep popping your opponent's shit while you get your own plays off. So, yeah. And then for spells, you'd probably want to run MST, Lance protect your Grunix or anything. MST is MST. It's pretty obvious. Chalice. More people are playing Chalice, I've noticed. I would probably run Effect Veiler or Chalice depending on what you want. I like Chalice more. And then Darkhold. And then 2 more fire formations, Yoko and Gyoku. Yoko's not that good because you have to neg to activate it, but Gyoku is pretty good because it's like a Night Beam that doesn't pop. And it's also fire formation, so if they destroy the trap or something, then you can still use Bear's Effect on it. And then for the traps, if you want to make it more competitive, just run a ton of normal traps that everyone runs, like Ring of Destruction, Vanities, Bottomless, Solemn, Torrential, Compulse, Fiendish, Mirror Force, Tragic Strapple, Nightmare, Mind Crush. So these are just examples. You don't have to run these, but just some common traps that people run to stop your opponent. And then if you're running the turbo version, run Royal Decree. Triple this out for sure. Yeah, obviously, super good card. But yeah, so that's the deck profile. Just tell me what you think about it. Obviously, it's not gonna be super great, but it is a really fun deck, so I suggest trying it out for sure. And yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching.